Chapter 6 Fathers. I remember a quiet afternoon from my childhood. Nothing remarkable about this one. No remarkable backdrops or backstories. It is a hot, sunny South Indian afternoon. Blazing heat that burns your feet when you step barefoot on the ground. Mom and I were returning from somewhere and we stopped at a temple. All the floors and structures are of rough granite. My mom rests under a temple structure, a hand-woven plastic bag by her side. I am bored, full of energy. I am running around in my rubber sandals, oblivious to the heat, ignoring my mother's pleas. The hot afternoon air rustles up the sand near the granite, and other than the occasional gentle whooshes the wind creates, there is only silence. My mind is alive, open. There is no past or present at that moment. Even the dried-up peepal leaf of the sand is a delight. The temple is supposed to be a holy place, yet at that moment there is nothing holier than what is inside me. An afternoon like thousands of others before and after, but this little ball of memory has chosen to stay. I do not know why. I feel warmth as I think about it. Today, for some reason, we are discussing our fathers. Krishna and I are sipping tea by the fireside on a rainy evening, as has become our routine. Whatever the trigger, I am thinking about my childhood. Krishna seems to read my thoughts. "Tell me about your father, Arjuna," he says softly. It is a hard topic for me. I have never had a happy relationship with my father. I knew he was essentially a good man. He worked hard in his clerical role, he never smoked or drank, provided for his family, and was never unfaithful to my mother. But he was hard on me, his only child, and my mother. I can only remember him as a surly childhood presence who smiled little and growled a lot. He had an inflexible ego about manhood and parenting, which he had inherited from his own father, that made him do things that I believe were contrary to his real nature. I remember when I was about 9 years old, I wanted to own a betta fish. One of my best friends had a few and was willing to give me one, but I needed my parents' permission. So I begged and pleaded with my mother. My mother, who by herself had no concrete preferences and too scared to stand up against her husband, simply said that she was okay with it if my father was okay with it. I guess she had fought too many losing battles against his ego, and she did not want to add one more to her list. She added the caveat that if I study hard and get one of the top 5 ranks in the half-yearly exam, my father would most likely consent. So that year I studied harder than I'd ever studied. Even my father, who would call me a lazybone at every opportunity he got, was surprised at my diligence. When the half-yearly exam came out in January, I was pleasantly surprised to see that my hard work had paid off. I had ranked 4th in a class of about 50 students. In all the prior years, I had never scored better than the 10th rank. That evening, brimming with confidence, I picked up the betta fish from my old friend in an old Horlicks bottle and a supply of fish food. Coming home, I placed it on my study table, spent an hour admiring it, and then went out to play. When I returned home, I ran straight back to my study desk. My betta fish was not there. I rushed to my mother. She seemed very upset. She simply said I should have gotten my father's permission before bringing home the fish. I remember how my stomach curled when she said that. "Where is my fish?" I screamed. "Your father threw it away. It's in the garden." I ran to the garden. The Horlicks bottle was carelessly tossed under the banana tree. The fish was on the ground. The beautiful tail whose shimmer I had been admiring an hour ago now surrendered to death. My father had gone to the house of a friend to relax for the evening. I was livid with anger and hurt. I at least wanted my father to explain why he had done this to my fish. I wanted him to ask for my forgiveness. When my father came back late that night, my mother told him that he was wrong to have hurt me like that. I remember them arguing. Soon after, my father came into my room and gave me a tight slap. "Next time, be respectful to your father. Do you understand?" he yelled, and then he stormed off. I have never had pets in my life again. I share this memory with Krishna. He listens, nodding his head solemnly. This meaningless, stubborn ego of my father is what caused all of the misery I am in, I say remorsefully.